All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Tuesday IndyCar Series here tonight at the Milwaukee. I have Milwaukee Speedway. It's the Milwaukee Mile. I'm going to have to fix that. Apologies. As we are here tonight. So this is going to be race number 8 of the season. Again, it is a 14 race season. I almost said 12 race season. My number's bad. With Matt Wagner getting the win last week at Auto Club, a wild one over there. So now we're at a short, flat oval. We'll have to see what that's going to unfold. Obviously, polar opposite to what we saw last week. So we'll have to see. But the nice part is I've got a buddy in the booth who knows these cars and he knows these tracks. And that is going to be a Mr. Andrew Wood. So, Andrew, first off, pleasure to have you back here. And, yeah, say we're here at Milwaukee Mile. And it's going to be, I mean, we just saw the actual guys racing on Sunday. Don't think we'll see as much craziness on tire strategies, but should be a fun one nonetheless.
Yeah, Kyle, good to be back with you tonight. And yeah, it looks like you have to kind of slowly roll with the speedway part of this because this is actually a very short track here. And the real life cars race here this past weekend, and also the IndyCar iRacing series raced here last week as well. So there could be a couple of guys here who have some experience racing in that series, doing some reps here. And one thing that you have to realize about these short ovals is that everything is about rhythm. And if you get knocked out of your momentum at all, it could be very hard to get it back. So I'm sure these guys have tried to practice the rhythm, racing in traffic and whatnot during the whole practice session. So I think we're about to see a lot of different strategies and a lot of different driving styles for this race.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one. I say, obviously, here in Loudon are the two I'm the most familiar with on the flatter ovals. And, of course, this one being, I would say, the slower of those two. Loudon still has that little bit of banking, of course, so you can kind of work the top sides a little more. But, yeah, I'm going to be really, really intrigued to see. Sounds like fuel, if we go green, non-issue. 150 laps tonight, sounds like they can all go at least 50 on fuel. Then you have that big question mark of, do you want to take that risk of maybe pitting early? Do you need to save fuel and try to run a little later? And, of course, these do have the higher downforce wings, so possibly still a fair chunk of aero wash, which is always, I mean, it's something you always got to fight with these cars. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to see. And for me, the big story, though, here, Andrew, is the streak has been broken. Craig has finally not had a top 5 after last week's Auto Club race, where he finished a terrible 7th.
It's definitely going to be one of those situations where last week or last race, yeah, I guess it was last week, that they were racing on a very high speed oval and everything was very fast paced, and you go from a very fast paced track to a very slow paced track. So guys that have raced in this series and are used to the high banked 4 wide situation, it's not going to be anything like that here at Milwaukee. So the people that can acclimate the fastest to these situations will probably be the ones that get a little bit of an advantage in the race.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how that is indeed all going to shake out. And it looks like the field is starting to grid up for tonight. And Andrew, I think we've seen this grid many a time this season, as it is going to be Christopher and Edson Santos on the front row. And I feel like Edson's had a lot of second place qualifying spots. Fortunately, unfortunately, I'm not sure. But then Wayne Campbell, a great starting spot for him there in 3rd. Gary Laverne, 4th. Ryan Kelly, Devin Brock there in the 6th position. Then you got Hugo Galaz, Larry Yingling, Matt Wagner, and AJ Hobson in the top 10. So already, to me, a little bit of a shakeup on the front 10 spots here. Some of the guys that we expect to see up front, I'm not seeing right off the kick there. You go back to Eric Schaus there, 11th. Shane Coker there in 12th. Then Eric Peterson, Frank Irwin Jr., 13th, 14th. Daniel Durazo, Craig Forsyth, 15th, 16th. Nick Cohen, Bill Burrell, 17th, 18th. Charles T. Jeff Heisong. And then John Borst, Joseph Morales, and Nicholas Stockner opting not to qualify here tonight. But, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing some pretty good hitters a little further back than I would have expected here tonight. So I'm going to be keeping an eye, obviously, on Forsyth, Teed, Heisong. Again, like, those are some of the names we see week in, week out. Even Peterson back in 13th. So I got to say, though, some great laps by some of those guys. Like I mentioned, Wayne Campbell, we've seen pace from him. But now to get that kind of a qualifying lap, I mean, that's a great starting spot for him there in 3rd.
Well, this is definitely one of those track position kind of races. So a good qualifying is already going to put you in such a good spot as you start this race. So whereas we see the intermediate and the big ovals, if you qualify 13th through 18th or something like that, you could probably pick up a few spots on the start if really you push. But on a track like this, there's just not a lot of room to maneuver and pick up those big spots. So very much so, Milwaukee is a track position race. So the guys up front will have some sort of advantage. But if we do go green through the whole first 50-ish laps on the stint, we could see some tire wear take effect, and some of the guys that may do a little bit better with their tires in the middle part of the field could pick up some spots here and there.
Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing. See, you already see some drivers doing a little bit of weaving there, just trying to maybe see if they can get some sort of temperature in these cars. So we'll see. But again, though, and also right off the kick-go, letting that pace car roll away, and say we'll be talking about that, I feel like, week in and week out. As you can see, there's a pace car heading down the backstretch, and it's going to be Stouffer leading the control here on that inside line. So yeah, so again, track temp, it is a little warm though. I gotta say 107 degrees track temp, 79 ambient, and on the track it's about 1:30 p.m. So it's only going to get hotter in my opinion as this race goes on. So we'll see if that's going to come into play as well for any of these drivers, or if that weather is going to be kind of the stagnant for these guys and not really change too much. So talk about track position being king. The pace car is off, and it's about to be handed over to F13. I was hearing new tires, cold tires is definitely the danger spot on those cars. So we'll see how they get through turn one, lap one here as we are under green.
Looks like we get actually a very orderly start through the first 7 or 8 rows here. Stouffer does lead them very nicely off the field here. And yeah, the cold tires are definitely going to have an effect here. As long as everyone sort of minds what line they're on, the inside versus the outside, we should be okay through the first couple laps here.
Yeah, from what I understood, it's just really sketchy on trying to really get the throttle up on the cold tires. We got one running way up top there. You can see there. I think that may have been... Ooh, actually, I can't
Shane
tell.
Coker.
Was it Coker?
I think it's the green car. Yeah, he got very close to the wall there, but I think he saved it. So
I think Hobson too was one of the other ones rolling the top there.
Yeah, that's another byproduct of the cold tires. So you get through turn 1 and 2 and say, okay, my tires are great, and then you turn to 3 and 4 and you're saying, oh no, they're not quite so great yet.
And I mean, I'm already looking though. I feel like these guys maybe they want that top side from what I'm looking at here, Andrew, because even then I still saw some guys a little further back really rolling that top side. Larry Yingling, you can see he's kind of running that third lane. And again, these cars very momentum oriented too. So if you can keep that top side rolling, and of course trying to find higher you go, maybe better chance of getting that clean air. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But right now, this is a great little battle here with Larry Yingling there, Hobson, Wagner, all right together. Schaus going to join that party here shortly as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the qualifying grid versus where they race right now, no one really has moved except for maybe one spot here and there. So kind of like what I was talking about before,
yep.
The qualifying is really going to have a big effect on how your race goes here. And even if you kind of blow your tires out a little bit in the first 15 to 20 laps or so, you can sort of dictate what's going on behind you because everyone else's tires will have a little bit of equalizing effect too. So this is definitely one of those tracks where qualifying means everything. So someone like Wayne Campbell, Gary Lovern, those guys that sit usually in the bottom part of the top 10, maybe 11th or 12th or so, this is a very good start to the race for them.
Yeah, and they're just able to settle in. So you can see the top 10 or so nicely spread out here. And this is really where the fight starts off. Now we've seen Hobson's been able to kind of separate himself from Wagner a little bit. So he says sides action. I'm going to go back, though. We got the 85, looks like around Nikohan. That car looks to be in pretty good shape here. So I think maybe just spin on exit. That is going to bring out our first yellow of the evening. Let's go back here. We'll take a quick look here as they come out of, I believe that's going to be out of turn 2. You can see Nick there on the inside, John just outside of him. Then you got Jeff Heisong running another lane higher. Again, these guys just trying to find any clear. And yeah, there you go. You can see the 85, the back end stepping out and around on him. But again, importantly, you can see locks it down here. And yeah, going to be no contact. So just basically the car kind of slow on track and where it was brings the yellow out. So kind of the best case of a bad situation for the 85 car. Again, caution comes out, but no harm, no foul. He'll be able to hop in here, throw some new tires on it. I don't think we see a lot of strategy on this one, though, Andrew. I think we're going to pretty much see the whole lead pack here. Somewhere around mid-pack, someone's going to take a gamble. And just by chance, I clicked on Eric Peterson, and he is right on cue, hitting pit road here. So these guys are going for the off-sequence strategy. as it would give him about, again, not a quite 10-lap difference on fuel, but it is going to give him a slight fuel advantage if we do get that green flag pit stop cycle.
I agree with your take there that it does seem like a lot of these guys are going to try and stay on some sort of similar strategy, but every single caution we have, even if it is 10 laps in, it does not hurt to grab that extra fuel. And maybe, I wouldn't say they take tires, but perhaps some guys forget to click out the tires during their pit stop. But it does give them a little bit of extra fuel and a little bit extra to play with. And again, there's no harm, no foul if you're sitting at the back of the field in order to take that extra little bit of fuel there to maybe put yourself in a better track position for when it's your turn to pit.
Yeah, and actually, and you mentioned the tires, so I can tell you Peterson through Cohan all took tires. Shane Coker, though, fuel only in that number 32 car. So a little bit of strategy for him, maybe jump a few spots. And again, strategy-wise, too, really, yeah, like I said, not a big loss. You see Joseph Morales, he's actually going to hop in now to jump into. And, yeah, so basically these guys lost 4 spots, 2 spots from where they started. So really, in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to say, like I said, not really any loss there. The driver capitalizing on all of that is Nicholas Stockner. Now he's up 9 spots into 14th position through him staying out while those other guys hit pit road. So with that, though, we're back to 1 to go here. Pace car is leading its way away. It's going to hand it back over to that number 13 of Christopher. And now it's a single file restart. You can see a little bit of gaps here and there. You know they're going to be on the comm saying, hey, you got to tighten this up, because look at that train right now, Andrew. It is going to be probably, some of these guys are going to be over a half lap down here as we get up to speed.
We definitely had to look out for that turn 2 looseness that Nick Cohan felt there. I was going to mention before that was something that I was talking to some of the guys before the race started. And that was one thing they mentioned, is that it's very easy to get loose on the exit of turn 2. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, no, it's a very difficult turn. Looks like everybody's able to get through the restart clean, so no accordions there. So now again, tires should be pretty much good to go. Like I said, the heat cycle's already been in most of those guys. It would be the Shane Cokers on back here. And actually you can see this could be the tire difference already. You can see it's already about a second gap between he and Stockner. Not sure if maybe just a miscue on the fuel map or not. But yeah, right off the kick though, he lost about a second off that car in front. So that might be something to keep an eye on, where those cold tires may not be the way to go on a short restart. So that could be an interesting thing if we see maybe someone stay out versus somebody pitting at some point in this race.
Looks like Gary Lovern is right behind Wayne Campbell right now, going for that 3rd spot. And I think this is one of those restart situations where you feel like you have a little bit more pace in the car ahead of you that you were following. Campbell gets a little bit high. I think Lovern's going to have a little bit of a move here into turn 3.
Yeah, it took a look. Didn't force the issue. But yeah, definitely trying to keep Wayne looking in the mirrors. And you can see also, like we were talking about, just keeping that left front just a little bit off-centered from the from the 42 car, trying to get that cleaner on the front wing. And yeah, really good exits. Momentum not quite enough yet still to make the pass happen, but definitely not a lack of effort. Gary trying everything he can. Again, he's going to try to peek to the inside. But right now we talked about it, maybe the momentum on the outside is the way to go. But as I say that, he's got just an inside wing here. We'll see if maybe he tries to send it on in. Looks like right now we're early enough. I think he's still playing nice.
I'm looking at the way the wind is blowing on the track right now. It's a little bit gusty from the southeast, which really means that these cars can really drive in with the downforce in 1 and 2, and they have to mind a little bit in 3 and 4. So I'm watching how Gary's driving. Wayne looks to be not attacking turn 1 and 2 so much right now. He's kind of riding a little bit up over that paved section on the bottom there. So that allows the car on the inside to get that better run. The shortest distance always is going to win out here. But once you start to do it a few laps in a row, you can see now that Gary's starting to fall back a little bit. That's one thing that I was watching with the iRacing IndyCar series from earlier or late last week. The wind really can play an effect here, especially if it's very, very gusty. One side of the track works a little bit better based on how the wind is blowing than the other side.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And so I'll say for the wind that we're explaining, so what's happening right now with that wind is as they enter turn 1, it's basically the wind is blowing up against the front wing and the rear wing there, kind of almost adding downforce, helping it actually rotate. Whereas entering turn 3, it's pushing the back of the car, so you actually probably enter with a little bit more speed potentially. And so, yeah, it's like you said, you might be able to kind of hustle turn 1 a little bit more than 3. Oh man, you saw T there in the background, got big loose on exit, able to hang on to it. But what I had noticed though was I think Craig was getting a little bit nervous with Shane Coker and was able to get around him. Shane is really running the top side. I've been watching these last few laps in that 32. But Craig able to jump on by and grab that 15 spot. So right now he is the highest of those that did pit. But again, it's been some hard battles up here. I've been watching Larry Yingling. Matt Wagner finally has got around him. They went back and forth for about 2 or 3 laps, if I'm not mistaken. And then now AJ Hobson's going to try to do the same here and get back after him and get that spot. And then Daniel Durazo working his way up as well in that 2. And you see that pit exit. You can go under there a little bit there, Andrew. How does that upset the car? Does that really change the way that car feels if you kind of hit that little pit, kind of that pit exit line there?
It kind of depends how the car is set up. If it's very stiffly sprung, especially on the left side, it can upset the car a little bit. I've had situations where I can run right over that curb and the car sort of feels okay, especially once the tires start to inflate and get warm and everything, but it is very setup dependent. So it could be possible that the way that these cars are set up tonight for these guys, they may be trying to avoid it, or someone really hasn't tried it yet. So if I was out on track tonight, I would definitely be trying it, and I would have tried it in practice and tried to see the right angle to attack that exit curve, because it definitely could mean something. I'm watching Teed and Peterson back here really battling hard. Looks like Teed is not very happy with where he is right now, and he keeps sort of sending it on Peterson every side of the track, but it doesn't seem like he's getting the job done. But I think if anyone's going to try to hit that curb in turn 1 and 2, it would be Charles Teed.
Yeah, I could definitely see T try to make some moves, and you can see they've worked their way up now where they're going to try to go after Shane Coker here as well. Looks like Peterson maybe going to try to take a look in 3. Yep, he's going to come on down that inside. You can see also the different paving colors. I want to say maybe more grip on the inside line, but you can see definitely more recent asphalt. But again, though, I think that's just you have so much wheel turned into when you run that bottom, it really hurts the exit. So I think that's why you're seeing these guys run that second, third lanes, just to kind of try to keep that wheel nice and open. As we're going to jump back up, here's that battle with Laverne and Campbell. Looks like now Gary's going to finally get that job done. He's been working on that since the restart. So that's just how hard it is. But in that fight, though, he is now about 3 seconds back of Edson. Edson about just 4/10 still off of Stouffer, just kind of hounding him here. And we'll jump a little further back. Matt Wagner having a nice little battle with that 27 of Devin Brock. Again, I think Devin, I want to say maybe first race was last week, if I'm not mistaken. So again, really good showing for him early in this one.
I'm actually watching the leaders between Santos and Stouffer, and Stouffer is using that curb in turn 1. So perhaps when we combine next lap, we can see if he's using it again. So the cars may be set up in such a way with, if you use the right tools, you may be able to run over that curb just fine. Stouffer used the last lap. Looks like he just touched it again there. So that's going to prevent Santos from using that inside line. So he's going to have to get creative if he wants to use the outside line. I think that the way that the wind is blowing in turn 3 and 4, you really need to get down against the curb on the inside. And there is a slight bump about 60% of the way through the turn there, that if you hit it the wrong way, it could upset the car. So I think that the way that Santos and Stouffer are running right now, Santos is doing a good job just keeping him honest. Isn't really able to attack just yet, but if Stouffer makes one slight mistake and goes a little bit wide somewhere, Santos really could come and take that spot.
Yeah, and that's exactly any little bobble right now from Stouffer. I mean, you know Santos is going to try to capitalize on it. And we've talked so many times about some of these drivers that are really good at managing their tires and having that long run pace. And I feel Edson is definitely one of those. His teammate was one we always talked about, Rafael Eckert. Just always seemed like he had just another level of tire saving in that car. So maybe he's able to teach Edson some tricks there. But this is a good little battle here. Right inside the top 10, you got the 2, you got the 904 of Hobson. And right now Durazo's trying to get the spot, but has not found a way around it as of yet. And then also a little further back, Stockner here. He is attacking Frank Irwin Jr. That is 13th and 14th again. Right now, Stockner, the highest climber, did not pit, but also then again gained 9 spots in the process. So probably a good gamble for him to try. And now Teed's got another battle on his hands. Now it's with Jeff Heisong there, as it looks like Peterson, we were talking about earlier, he's able to sneak away a little bit from them.
one thing I wanted to mention also with this track too, and I know I mentioned it in the pre-race, is that this is one track you need a lot of patience with. It's momentum driven. You really feel like you want to fly by the car ahead of you. You know if you're faster than them, but you have to work on it for 6 to 10 laps, and then it's all about trying to figure out where their weaknesses and where you could pounce and try and get that inside line going. So the people that are going to finish higher in this race are going to be better at patience and better at finding their way in a more clever way rather than just on speed alone. So I could see someone like
it's going to have to kick in here as well up front, because you got traffic coming up here for Stouffer, so he's going to have to try to be patient working through here.
You finished my sentence right there, Guy. I was getting ready to say just that. And once these guys have been running in clean air for so long, someone like Stouffer that's been in clean air for so long is going to have a much more difficult time getting through cars than Santos, who can easily pick out Stouffer's weaknesses as the leader and say, okay, I think you're a little weaker on this side of the track. I'm going to maybe back it down a little bit and try and get the exit speed going and try and find where in the next corner I can put my car to get ahead of you. So that's what the short track racing is all about, and these guys should be ready for it if they've been practicing.
And you can tell, I mean, you can see that the concern is maybe ramped up also for Joseph and Bill here, because they're going at it side by side thinking, okay, I think I'm faster than you. No, I want to try to get around you, because like I said, for Joseph, now he's ahead of that 21 car. Joseph said, okay, if I can keep Stouffer pinned behind him, which he's not going to, Stouffer's already clear, but then maybe I can try to set sail and run away a little bit. And of course, then there's that battle where I don't want to get trapped one down and not be the wave around car. So there's, like I said, there's going to be those fights within the fights, because luckily for Morales right now, he's got a couple seconds to the next car in line. So even if he were to get lapped, he'd at least finally have some breathing room. As you see there, Edson's going to try to work his way around. But yeah, you see right there, Edson's had a harder time there. I think that's actually going to cost him some time, depending on how Stouffer does here with Morales.
And as you get more and more lap cars, they sort of get in the way and everything. You really have to start, like, instead of timing one car ahead, you have to time 3 cars ahead. And as these cars get more and more into the traffic, it becomes a situation where you have to just hope that the car that you're trying to battle against is going to go where you want it to go. And sometimes it works that way and you can get a big advantage, but other times you're like, oh no, like I'm just trapped right here in the middle of a situation where you really can't move too much. But so far it looks like we just have these couple of cars here. Santos hasn't lost too much time to Stouffer right now. I think that Santos will get by Morales down here in turn 3 and everything will be back to sort of normal again. I think Santos might have just a touch more pace over Stouffer at this point, so I think he'll get that time back. But as I was mentioning before, the momentum, it's going to take about 6 to 10 laps to do so.
Yeah, and the other thing I've been watching is the pace of the race. It looks like fuel is going to be more important than tires from what I'm seeing right now, Andrew, because a few laps ago, Ryan Kelly ran the fastest lap of the race, so it's a 22:45. So again, we're what, almost 40 laps into the race. He has yet to pit, so I'm saying maybe it was just a good lap, maybe a little bit of clean air, or just just draft now, because he's gone up to Wayne Campbell. As soon as I say that now, Stouffer in the clean air, he goes purple to 22:42. So yeah, so it looks like tires aren't hurting too badly right now. So I think again that's going to be even more all about, to me, the fuel strategy, how far you can maybe run these things on fuel. Which again, we had the one yellow, but that probably means another 10-ish laps until we see some drivers have to hit pit road. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, this is a really good fight here with Ryan Kelly and Wayne Campbell, with Ryan trying to now, I think, yeah, Ryan just got around him and trying to hold him off, but no, Ryan just completing that pass there with Hugo Galaz. They're starting to loom in the background.
I think one thing to mention in terms of the fastest lap you mentioned is that this is definitely one of those tracks where if you keep your tires in check, the middle part of the stint feels the worst, just because that's where you have a decent amount of fuel on board. Your tires are starting to wear a little bit, but then as time goes on, if you have clean air, your tires start to come back to you again. There's like a sweet spot right about 15 laps before you pit where your car actually feels really, really good, and you can start to run those fast laps again. So I think what that signals to me is that we're about less than 10 laps away from our next pit stop. Our first pit stop, rather, for the leaders.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. And And I'll say this was set up for you last week. You weren't able to make that one, and that is the special paint scheme on that numbered 18 of Jeff Heisling. He told me that he was running this in and out car for you, and I say he's kind of playing with fire. I feel like right now, Andrew, because he's running the in and out car, and I feel like this is probably Culver's country, so he's gonna have to kind of be careful when he leaves the track here. Make sure he doesn't offend too many people. But John Borst going to try to make that move. He's had a couple of good laps here lately. Got around Teed. Now working over Heisong. And I think maybe can clear off of 2 if he can get that power down. But you can see, man, that 18 really wraps that top there out of 2.
Wow, I mean, the in and out car is the best car on the grid in my opinion. It's got such flair to it. It fits perfectly with their brand and everything. So I'm sad that I missed that last week for sure, and I appreciate Jeff for doing that for us. But yeah, it looks like Jeff's having a little bit of a hard time right now, but he's definitely in this very, very heated pack here. And I mean, don't look now, but Stouffer is right behind this entire pack, looking to put them a lap down. So at this point, when we're trying to figure out our pit strategy, I really do wonder if Stouffer sees this group of cars ahead and says, lap 50, I'm coming in, because I know that if I can do 50-50, I'll be good to the end. So we'll have to see which one of the Stouffer Santos group here decides that they want to try and outsmart the other, because Santos is looking at this huge group of lapped cars ahead and says, I think I'm going to let Stouffer play around with this one a little bit. I'm going to come in and get fresh tires and try and beat him out.
And that's exactly it. I mean, that last time around, Stouffer was actually 4/10 slower than Santos. This time it was about a quarter of a second. So yeah, I mean, Santos has definitely gained a ton of time in that sequence. Of course, now he's going to have to go through the same traffic that Stouffer is going through as we speak. And I think that's why we also saw that aggression from the 86 and the 85. Because it's like, oh man, the leaders are here. We got to go. And because again, green flag restart, single file, initial start, double file. So yeah, you're losing. I said these guys, a chunk of them probably started about a half a lap down. So it's that risk versus reward for sure. And yeah, so now it's just going to be, like I said, who blinks first on the pit stops. This would be coming to lap 50 as we speak. But so far, I feel like Stouffer and Edson have done a good job getting through the field, and they've got a pretty good gap over Gary Laverne there in third. So I think this is one of those ones where if it's not costing them a ton of time, I think they just don't want to take that gamble at short pit. But who is taking a gamble? It's going to be Matt Wagner. He is going to be the first to hit pit road right at that 50 mark, just like we talked about.
Yeah, I think that Wagner has started to drop a little bit from where he was running, so I think a fresh set of tires will do him well. Maybe he was playing around with some tools, trying to figure out what his best strategy was to maneuver around this traffic and the cars around him, but a fresh set of tires may put him in a whole different strategy. A big battle I've been watching, Gael, for a while is this Daniel Durazo, AJ Hobson battle. They've been stuck to each other for 20 to 25 laps now, and Durazo did get side-by-side and ahead of AJ a little bit, but maybe the traffic upset that a little bit, and AJ has gotten that spot back. But these two have been glued to each other, so I'm interested to see what sort of pit strategy these two guys employ. As you see, Durazo goes almost 4 wheels below that curb. Yes, exactly.
That might be a little more than you would like to do. I say maybe with the stock car you can get away with a little extra there. Ryan Kelly, he's going to hit pit road. He's the second of our leaders to come on in. But you're right, though. I'd say Durazo and Hobson, they've been going after, and they've brought another into the fight, and that is Eric Schaus. So,
they passed Eric Schaus. Eric Schaus was running ahead of them for a while, and they were running 10th and 11th, and they're running 7th and 8th right now. I think Wagner had to do with that a little bit, but they've been running together, and although they've been battling, they've been faster than cars ahead of them. So we'll have to see where they end up later on in this race.
Yep, Campbell is in as we speak as well. So again, little by little, they're starting to peel in here. So Frank Irwin Jr., got to mention him. He's just hit pit road as well. Gary Laverne just mentioned third place. Now he is in. So again, we're getting right to it here as, it's going to get busy on pit road. And this is, I think, a really good opportunity there for Daniel, because you saw there as the, who was that? I think that was Hobson hitting pit road. Devin Brock was in as well. And I think maybe it wasn't, I'm not going to say it was slow on pit entry, but wasn't doing that right there, hustling it in there. So if that 2-car can get a really good in-lap, maybe that's the opportunity for him to try to jump him in the pits versus on the track. But now this is where you start to get nervous if you pitted, because you're just saying, okay, please keep it clean, guys. You're going to be leaving the pits on cold tires. We don't want anything to trap us a lap down here. And Edson was up front battling all race long, and he has been saving fuel at the same time, it looks like, Andrew.
Yeah, I think that these guys have waited as long as they possibly can to come in. There was no one that did the undercut situation. We were thinking about 50 laps or so, and we're on 55. So I think that these guys are actually kind of running their fuel tanks out to make sure they don't get trapped a lap down. So I would imagine that everyone's going to be pitting within the next 3 laps here.
Yeah, it should be very soon for Edson. Hugo as well. Hugo's the next car that hasn't pitted at all in this race. Then we'll jump over to Craig Forsyth. Those are the guys that pitted, we'd mentioned, around lap 7 on that first yellow. So we'll see. But again, I'm impressed with just the amount of laps, though. I mean, again, Edson's going to continue. So he's going to go about 60 laps at minimum here as we just started 59 here in that number 20 car. So really, really good fuel mileage. And for the pace to keep up with that number 13 as well as he has, great job. He's actually going to stay out longer. Craig's in pit road in the 99, as is Hugo. So, man, Edson has had some magic on fuel. Now he's going to make that sharp left, and he's going to hit pit road coming to lap number 60. And we'll see, does Peterson come in or not? But look at the gap, though. Peterson's just coming out of 2 as Edson was coming out of 4 onto pit road.
We saw Daniel Durazo actually exited the session, so I think he sped on pit lane. I believe I watched his entry, and he was way too fast. So I think he has removed himself from that battle there. So the Durazo and AJ Hobson battle is not going to live on for much longer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just, again, the trying to get everything you could to try to make that spot happen. But what I am going to do is we're going to jump back to Edson. And where is he? Where is Stouffer? Oh, it's going to be close at the entry. Stouffer's going to just get a nose ahead. But, man, that is a 1/10 of a second difference. And Edson's got to build those tire temps back up. That might spread him out again a little bit, but really good job by Edson running it long and still almost taking that top spot away from Stouffer.
Well, Edson's going to have fresher tires than Stouffer later on in the stint, so it may seem kind of long right now, but I think Edson will have a tire advantage on Stouffer, which matters here, especially as you burn the right front a lot more. So it may seem long now, but let's check back in about 15 or 20 laps and see how close Edson is to Stouffer. But these guys that pitted during that first caution are still out there right now. They're leading, so if a caution were to come out right now, that would hurt them a little bit because they'll drop to the back of the field because they're going to need that pit stop. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Ooh, that was a big entry there by the 85 right behind Peterson. That's going to put the 86 of John Borst onto the front spot at the moment. But again, though, he has been one also I've watched where he seems to have really good fuel mileage if he wants to try to do that strategy. So we'll keep an eye and see how much further he can go as he is under full attack from Shane Coker, who is on that exact same strategy. And they're going to continue to run here. And again, I'm looking at the numbers. I don't think there's any physical way they can run this any further, although I'm showing, let's go take a look at Schaus showing. Oh, there it is. There's the strategy. Schaus off track. Caution just comes out. That is a huge break for those guys that had not pitted. John Borst, Shane Coker, Joseph Morales, and Bill Burrell. That's going to keep all those guys in the lead lap. And it looks like, unfortunately, the first one on the outside looking in will be the 85 of Nick Cohen. Should get him back on the lead lap, however. But I think this may have just been the Schaus maybe trying to hustle it too quick off of pit road, or oh, actually no, he just gets loose off of 2. We saw that earlier, and you see him, he's just drifting this thing as hard as he can. But unfortunately, the back end's going to loop around on him in the end.
And that was one of those loose off 2 moments we were talking about before, but it could easily be done with anyone, so we won't fault the driver for that incident there. But yeah, I think these guys that haven't pitted yet, Borst and Coker, they'll fall to the back of the lead lap, but they'll have the freshest tires, so they could easily try and find their way ahead. But actually, Gael, like one person I'm watching here is Craig Forsyth. I would have thought that he would have picked up a little bit more than he did, but again, the poor qualifying has put him way back outside the top 10. So Forsyth did pit a little bit on the early side, trying to get ahead of those guys, and now he's going to find himself with more worn tires. So let's see if Forsyth can pull a rabbit out of his hat, because he's known to do that, and we could see if it's possible that he can get himself back into this mix here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. And then also, Duty mentioned the 85 of Nick Cohen was indeed the wave around car, so he's going to go back around to the lead lap. And then also Nicholas Stockner, he stays out, so he's actually going to be the tail end of the lead lap. So once we get the one to go, he'll wave on by. And then what Stouffer is going to have, though, is a little bit of a breathing spot here, because you see there is Stouffer, but he's got one car in between he and the 20. And so Frank and Jr. were not within that window where the lap cars go to the back. So as long as Frank doesn't pit here, that actually gives Stouffer one car buffer between them. Also, do need to mention, though, I was a little surprised to see is Matt Wagner hit pit road there as well. So if you guys opting to come back in that second time. So a little interested on that one. Actually, well, there you go. There's the answer. The 44 is going to hit pit road here. So that's going to give Edson a clean shot at Stouffer. And yeah, we're going to come back to it here this next time around, which will be 19 cars on the lead lap. And we're going to restart this thing on lap 68, it looks like here.
It definitely benefits you to try and have those fresh tires if you could possibly get them. So I think that these guys that are just kind of re-upping their tires, they'll have better tires than the cars ahead of them. So they'll be able to take the battles for them probably on the second lap. The first lap, they'll have the cold tires, which will be a little bit more detrimental to them trying to make their way forward. But I think that they're going to have some fresher tires and pick up those spots that they really feel like they need.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the standings too. John Boris jumps all the way up to 10th after everything cycles on equal ground now as everybody else. So a really, really good job by him. As you can see, everybody's rolling the top side waiting for that number 13 to go. You're going to see the pace car make the left, and then we'll see that flagman. And again, it's under the control of the 13, and we are down and away. As you can see, I say he's gone. Flagman's waiting, but I say that's an iRacing thing. As we were back underway again, another clean restart coming to the green. Now they just, again, cold tires versus tires that already have a heat cycle on them. And yeah, there's the difference again I'm seeing. So those cold tires definitely don't kick in as quick as those olders. So that's going to be a strategy later on where maybe it's going to be better, maybe a late stop if we need fuel. Do you think about fuel only in a situation like that, Andrew? Just because you see already, again, it's a 1 second gap right off the kick. So I'm curious to see who's actually, I would say it's Peterson. He's the one that's got slightly older tires, maybe a bit of a heat cycle on him. See, just pit under green and look at Peterson go. It's as if he's got a ton more confidence, a ton more grip in that car, and he's trying to make his way forward. So that tells me right there, tire temperature may be more important than tire wear in this one.
Well, I think
at least for restarts.
In the short term, I think you're onto something there, but it could be a situation where if you make the moves you can when you have the heat cycle in the tires, you could pick up a spot or two, but you have to keep the car underneath you during the entire stint. So as the stint wears on, you may find that the newer tires do prove a little bit better compared to those guys that have been on the older tires for longer.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye as the run goes on. Right now I'm jumping over here because now Wayne Campbell, he's under attack from Hugo Golaz. Hugo trying to get another great result. Right now, again, still lots of time to go. Haven't even hit the halfway point in this one yet. And then also still trying to watch the fuel numbers here as well. Just curious to see. I don't think anybody's going to try to pull off a one stop. I just don't see any way that's mathematically possible, because that would be them having to go over 75 laps. Or no, math is bad. I think actually it is a one stop from here, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew.
Yeah, from here, it'll be one more stop to go. They'll pit around the 100 to 110 mark, depending on which guys pitted on the first caution or ones that stayed out a little bit longer.
Yeah, there. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that we're going to see Stouffer, Edson. Edson does have those newer tires by about 7 or 8 laps or so.
Yep.
I think that's the difference from what those two guys pitted from P1 and P2.
Yeah. Edson's definitely got the fresher tires. Like I said, they both have a heat cycle on them. So I'll say on that side, that's pretty much already done with. And I'll say the nice part for Stouffer is he's still got about a full straightaway until he gets to the 60 of Joseph Morales. And then Joseph's got about a half a straightaway to the next car, which is the 85 of Nick Cohan. Again, he was the wave around car, had to start from the back there. So he's in a pretty good spot as well for just not having to worry about dirty airs. Ooh, saw in the background there, Craig maybe just had a little kiss with the wall. And you can see, I think, who was that behind him? That was the 18 of Haisong. Haisong tried to capitalize on it, saying actually he's one of those cars that is trapped one down at the moment. But he's got to try to get up to Teed as Teed right now is that first car, one down as we just crossed the halfway point.
I'm trying to find these close battles we have on track right now. Looks like everyone's kind of spread out a little bit, so not really a lot of battles happening right now, but we have these lap cars that are kind of intertwined in this middle part of the top 10 here, so they're hanging on. And like you mentioned, T would be the first car that gets his lap back should there be a caution. But it looks like everyone's kind of running pretty solid right now.
Yeah, we got two little gaggles. I feel like it's Peterson, Kelly, Wagner, and then you got Borst, Coker, and Schaus. These three, I'll say two little packs of three going at it pretty good. And then we'll go back here because here we go. Hugo got a good run here off of 4. Going to try to take a look in 1. Again, it's a shorter distance, catches that inside curb just a little bit. But again, though, that 42 Wayne Campbell, great exit there, able to keep that momentum built up. And while Hugo does that, that's been pulling Devin Brock here. And again, if you're one that follows IndyCar, it may not be Polo in that car, but you see that paint scheme, you know that you're going to be in trouble. So maybe that's part of the paint scheme choice for Devin here is like, hey, man, this car's won a lot of races this season. Let me hop in this guy, maybe make these guys look twice in their mirrors.
I can see Matt Wagner is trying to pick up a couple spots that he has here. Jeff Heisong moves over and gives Wagner a little bit of a draft. Heisong kind of concedes a little bit there. Wagner goes a little bit high in turn 4. I think he might have a little bit of run down the straightaway here, but don't count out. It looks like Ryan Kelly's behind there to pick a spot as well. So we got nice little battles here going for that 10th spot. And Jeff Heisong is going to try and help out Wagner the best he can. He moves over, and Wagner takes that inside line through 3 and 4.
Yeah, but it seems like Heisong's got some momentum up top there. I'm also wondering how hard is Heisong trying to run to maybe get up to Teed. Because again, but right now it is about a 5-second gap. So right now Teed is looking solid. But the problem for Teed is that the 13 is catching quickly that number 60 of Joseph Morales. So again, there's going to be kind of ebbs and flows right now with that group. Come back over here. You got the 86, sorry, the 85. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 86 and the 124. Good little battle between the two of them. And again, I'm also wondering, is this one of those ones for maybe John lightning striking twice, saying, you know what? I went really long on field the last time that caution came out perfectly for me. As there's Stockner, we talked about running low. That's running low and then some. But again, maybe just, you know what? I'm just going to run this thing as long as humanly possible like I did last time and see where it shakes out. I mean, you never know. As Peterson looks like he didn't get the exit he was looking for. Matt's going to jump underneath here. And this is going to be, Matt now is the first car that pitted under yellow on 65. So again, he's got pretty much, I'd say about a 5-lap margin, roughly, of course, with the yellows taking into account of advantage on fuel. But again, Edson really is the best of those that pitted under green, pitting at 59. So again, not much of a difference between those guys. As Stouffer, haven't looked at him for a little bit. He's just about to get to that 60 here of Joseph Morales.
Yeah, watching Charles Teed, he was in that big battle with Hugo Galaz. Hugo got by him. But Charles Teed is running very, very high, both in turn 2 and turn 4. So I'm concerned about him possibly getting into some marbles or something like that where he pushes up towards the wall. But he seems to be hanging on to the car right now. And if you're the first car, it's a lap down. You know you're going to get that wave around should a caution come out. So especially if you have the position on the first lap car there, as he gets very, very close to the wall there, exiting turn 4, I think if T were just kind of say, okay, I'm stuck here in this group between P4, P5, P6. I'm just going to let it ride, and then maybe I'll get my lap back. That would probably do him a little bit better.
Yeah, again, unscheduled pit stop, it looks like, for the 18 of Heisong. Saw there Shane Coker, I think, just maybe caught the wall just a tiny bit out of 2. I think that car is no worse for wear, but he is doing all he can to find a way around Eric Schaus. Has not been able to make that happen as of yet. As saying, Schaus, this is a good battle. That's bringing John Borst right back in the mix. Add Stockner to that group as well. So this will be a 4-car battle. A little further up, Matt's again trying to pick his way through here. Looking at Larry Yingling now. These guys just both in the top 10. They're 9th and 10th respectively. Been watching Peterson as well, kind of creeping up into this group with those guys as well. So it's all kind of coming up a little bit. Heisong is still on pit road, so not sure if maybe that either a pit penalty on injury. Oh, Schaus up in the wall. I think that might bring our caution out. Yes, it does. Oh my goodness. Then that is, unfortunately, say if it's bad luck, or if it's bad luck, it's no luck at all. And that's John Borst. He's going to have to take a tow And yeah, you can see right there that car missing a lot of parts there. Schaus going to try to grab this thing back and get it dragged out to the pits, but the car does not want to turn here, Andrew. So we'll see if he's going to keep after it, but unfortunately, caution is out. Let's go see where this occurred.
That looked like the Colton Herta kind of incident during the qualifying session from the real life race. He caught the asphalt in a weird spot that the car kind of wiggled a little bit, and he really couldn't catch it again. So I'm trying to see where he had the wiggle that he couldn't catch the car, because it seemed like the car was planted and then all of a sudden it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh, yeah, just that. I think he felt it step out on him and try to catch it, and then huge hit there. And then I think what we'll see is just behind here, we'll see the 86 car. And I think just wrong place, wrong time here. And yeah, it's going to be a 32 trying to avoid him. They get together, and unfortunately, the gods of iRacing netcode kind of spared the 32. 86 not so lucky, as he goes for a wild ride there, unfortunately. And so, yeah, so I think actually in the end almost looks like flips over the 32 Shane Coker. So that is going to bring the yellow back out here with 60 to go. And that's going to put us in a very awkward spot here, Andrew, because is that going to be in a window? And actually, I think, did Stockner just, as I was showing him as the leader, I think he maybe had the tow. But Stouffer is going to be the first in and out of pit road. But we have a gambler in our midst, and that is going to be that number 85 car. And then we talked about the wave rounds. It's going to be Joseph Morales who got the wave round. Charles Teed, though, he's going to stay out here, and I think he'll just do the one to go wave around, and we'll see how that all unfolds here shortly.
Going back to Stockner, you were mentioning him. I think he blew his box. I think he went up like a full box ahead for some reason. Not sure what happened there, but he had to back up into his box, so that's the reason why it might have looked a little bit weird. Yeah, you were mentioning the fuel strategy, but I think Stouffer said that he could do 51 laps earlier when I was speaking to him in a comfortable manner. I don't know if 58 laps will be
58's going to be a stretch.
It'll be a very big stretch, but you were talking earlier about the no tire strategy, and I feel like that might be something that could be possible for these guys. Actually, I think it might be fully probable for these guys when you just do like a whole 10, 15 laps ago, just come in for a splash of fuel and go.
So yeah, so what's going to happen here is now it's going to be tires versus fuel. There is a 30-lap difference between the 85 Nick Cohan and the 13 of Christopher. So Nick is going to have some clean air in the front wing of that 85 car, and then behind him he's going to have that lap car Frank Irwin Jr. and then Christopher. So this will be really the first other than lap down cars that Stouffer's had to deal with. So I say Nick's going to have to make some adjustments, go from the dirtier to the cleaner. How do you change your driving style? What adjustments in the car do you make as they come out of four? And Nick's going to put the throttle down, and we are back underway. Like you said, though, Andrew, 58 to go. Someone's going to try to make it on fuel. Do we see any yellows before that happens? That's going to be the big question. So we'll see the fuel saving strategy versus maybe drivers just expecting to see cautions come out. I saw Schaus there just roll out of pit road. So Nick's going to get about a second lead here. Stouffer's going to try to work over that 44. Nothing to be done yet. But again, remember, cold tires versus heat cycle tires. Again, those drivers that came out of pit road just now, you can see just whatever temperature they got built up, it seems to pay a lot of good, though, for that short run.
I actually really like the Nick Cohan strategy here. He pitted last on, I believe I saw 61 is the last lap. 61, 62. So he's only 33 laps on his tires right now. It doesn't seem very likely that the strategy for this late in the race would work out. But if you're mired down there in the 13th or 14th spot, you got to do something a little bit different than everybody else in the field to try and see what sort of position you could wind up in. And if this goes green for a certain period of time and it's right before his pit stop, you could see these guys come in for some tires, and that would make Nick Cohan seem like the hero right now. So I like this strategy right now. He's got a nice gap on the leaders, mostly because of the low fuel count in his car. He's running a little bit faster right now, and he's right on the edge of where the tires start to come back to you. So I actually really like this from Nick Cohan right now. He's trying something a little bit different and making this race very interesting.
Yeah, saying actually both cars are kind of in between a rock and a hard place because Nick's trying to get around Eric Schaus. Schaus going to try to fight for all he's worth. So I believe he's trying to stay. Is it just one down or yeah? Oh, sorry, no, actually he's three down. So I'm sure Cohan right now is saying, "Come on, man, let me by. I want this clean air." But just cannot quite do it. And Stouffer's doing the exact same thing. Now he's under attack from Santos. Santos tried to capitalize. You can see Stouffer maybe try to squeeze him just a teeny bit there. So, I mean, we've got battles within battles right now. These guys, again, trying to keep that track position, trying to get that clean air desperately. Because, again, right now, I'm going to say probably not a lot of fuel saving being done by these guys up in these top couple spots. So, do they start racing each other too hard here and maybe throwing it into the hands of, let's say, Gary Laverne, who maybe he's going full fuel strategy in that number 34. So, very interesting to see how this is all panning out right now because, yeah, it's not all clean sailing for the 85. I think he's going to try to do a big dive here, see if he can slide clear. And, yeah, I know Nick very well. He's very familiar with dirt racing, and that is a textbook slider out of that 85 car there through 3 and 4.
Well, I was actually watching the Edson and Chris fight. They were trying to get by Frank Irwin Jr. there, and Edson just slid himself right in front of Frank Irwin Jr. going into turn 3 last lap, and he almost clipped him, and I thought that was the end of Santos' race right there. But as we've seen through this entire race so far, Santos stays very, very close to Stouffer. He's managed to find a way to outfox Stouffer in both sides of this track right now, and it looks like he's staying just close enough where it'll work out for him, but Nick Cohan has gotten by Schaus, and he's starting to pull away a little bit with that lesser fuel load. And let's see if this works out for him. I'd like to see something change up here and maybe get a little bit of an unexpected finish here. But Santos really is putting the heat on Stouffer right now, and I wonder if Schaus is going to give the same sort of headache to Stouffer as he did to Nick Cohan up front.
Yeah, you kind of wonder. I mean, you can see Schaus, he's just running his own line there. He's running, kind of rim riding it there. But yeah, and we saw before how much longer Santos ran than Stouffer last time by under the green flag stop. Obviously, there was no fuel saving window at that point. I'm going to jump back though because we got a good little battle here. That is Wayne Campbell and Gary Laverne. So again, wondering, has Gary backed his pace off a little bit, or is he maybe just getting a little hampered there from that car in front of him by Frank Irwin Jr.? Again, though, Frank's got to fight though because he needs to try to stay that first car one down. So that is why he's doing what he's doing and saying this. It's like he's not expected to completely roll over for these guys where he is in his race. So you can see Schaus still ahead of Stouffer. But yeah, I mean, right now, could Edson just kind of strategize and maybe try to get Stouffer to run himself out of fuel and say, you know what, I stayed close to him before and I was able to run a handful of laps further than him that last time. So yeah, so this is very intriguing. And then for Stouffer, maybe he's saying, you know what, I'm just going to push hard now, bank on the yellow to save it then, and I'll be good to go. So there's a lot of potentials here in this one for the fuel strategy, how it could shake out. We do know for sure Nick Cohen obviously is going to have to pit regardless in this race, but he can go, again, pit at 60, so he can go to about 110, 115, I'd say, with the yellow at minimum. So yeah, we'll see how far he stretches this thing and maybe gets that timely caution.
Well, if you think about it, Stouffer and Santos both also have to pit again, but they could do a fuel only if they need to. So all Nick Cohan really needs is to get about a 3 to 5, actually probably more like a 5-second lead, because if he gets tires plus his full fuel load, that would probably equal a certain amount on track where he can come out. If everyone's doing the same pit stop again, then he's going to wind up being somewhere in this top 5 once it all pans out, if you think about it that way. Just all he needs is the full fuel, where everyone else just needs a splash. So everyone's coming down pit lane one more time for sure.
But does this change anything? I'm watching Bill Burrell. That car is pointing in the wrong direction. Caution's out. Here you go. We'll see now. Let's say will this be a good thing for Nick, or maybe the last thing he wanted, because this might put some of those guys in their fuel window. So we might see a very lonely 85 car here hit pit road potentially. But yeah.
I still don't think that they're in a fuel window quite yet. I still think that they're about 5 or 6 laps short. The yellow will bring it down to maybe 2 or 3 laps short for like a mega fuel save. But the way that Stouffer was driving, trying to pass the lap cars, there was no fuel save going on there. So I do feel like they can only go about 50 laps or so. So yeah, Nick's gonna have to pit here for sure. and then take his tires and fall to the back of the field. But he will have much, much more fresh tires than everyone else. So regardless of how it turns out up front, he will be able to pass a lot of cars that are on the older tires. So we're going to see Nick definitely peel off here.
I think we're going to see some fakes. With him. That's honestly,
right.
This is actually less than I expected. I thought we'd see way more drivers stay out. So Edson is going to stay out. We talked about, I feel like he did really well on fuel. We know Hugo's really good on fuel saving in that number 57. He's going to be second. It's going to promote Matt Wagner to third, Craig Forsyth to fourth, and Eric Peterson, Shane Coker, Larry Yingling, and Nick Stockner. So it's going to be 8 cars that stay out. Stouffer will win that race out of pit road, and looks like Cohen's going to come out right behind him. And for some reason, his pit time says 0.00. I don't think he had that quick of a stop. But I'm looking at the Stouffer pit stop. I'm showing 8 seconds, so to me that means probably threw tires on it. So I really want to see this restart as well. Let's see the gap between Stouffer and Stockner after those first couple laps. But yeah, this is a gamble for Stouffer. Is he thinking, all right, we're going green to the end? Because if he's expecting yellows, I think he stays out again. So this is going to be an interesting one now on the strategy side, because he's going to be full rich to the end. Edson through Stockner, probably going to have to try to still back that fuel map down.
You're absolutely right that I think more cars came in than we were expecting, but this is a net win for Cohan, who was running outside the top 10 for much of the race. Now he's on the same fuel strategy as everyone that just came in now, so he has found himself right in that top 10 mix. He will have fresh tires, and perhaps he could possibly pick up some spots along with Stouffer, because it's Stouffer Cohan right now. Edson's on the opposite strategy. Maybe he feels like he could make it to the end on fuel, even though I think it's just a tiny bit of a stretch to make it. Maybe there's something that I don't know too much, and he could possibly make it from here. But we're going to be watching the Stouffer Cohan group on the fresh tires, because they'll be able to make the moves as quick as they can.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's about 20 lap difference on tires. And Edson's had the draft to basically help him probably save some fuel. Now he's going to have the clean air, so he's going to have to try to work the fuel numbers while controlling the pace of this race. Then again, we got Hugo, Matt Wagner, Forsyth, Peterson, Coker, Yingling, and Stockner as we are back underway. Looking down the back, a little bit of checkup. See, everybody's trying to move around, give each other some space. And it looks like we will get through this restart nice and clean. But yeah, already though, like I said, let's go back over to Stouffer, as he is going to try to do something. Can't do anything yet with Stockner, but he is staying a lot tighter than we've seen some of those other fresh tire cars do earlier. Oh, man, Cohen almost gets in the back of him.
Very close, yeah. I mean, again, this is a net win for Cohen, because he's now on the same strategy as the previous leader. So I think with the fresh tires, he's going to be able to make some moves as best he can. He's going to have a much better finish than if he had stayed where he was. So as long as Cohan just stays in his tire tracks, I think you can see Cohan getting a much better finish than he thought he would have gotten. So Stouffer makes his move right here against
working hard.
Very close.
And what's happened is the top 2 are kind of running away. Actually, I say it's top 3 running away, because Wagner's actually trying to go after Hugo here. And again, this might be one of those things where try to push now and then save later. Stouffer does get by Stockner. So yeah, so again, Stouffer's going to have to be aggressive here. Use those new tires up as quick as he can. Use the fuel up as well. Again, knowing these guys maybe lifting, coasting, maybe running fuel map 5. And again, just got to get everything he can. So expect to see some big moves like that. And that's what he needs to do. He needs to get there, clear him, and get back under his way. So again, Stouffer now up already a couple spots, up to 7th now in this restart.
I'm watching the 2 Nicholases, Nicholas Cohan, Nicholas Stockner, and Cohan goes a little wide, and that promotes Gary Lovern through, but Cohan is still sitting ahead of where he was before. If he could just he was sliding the car a little bit through turn 1 and 2. He has a lot better run this time. I think he's going to have the run on Gary there.
Gets great exit.
And Stouffer's already starting to pull way into the distance right now, but I still think that the fresh tires look like the better move for now, especially when we have, 34 laps left?
Yep, still 34 to go. Watching lap times as well with Stouffer, and last time by he was 0.2 quicker than Edson. Again, you can see the timing, the scoring. He's about 3 seconds back, so he's now to the next car he's trying to get after. That is Shane Coker. And you can see there probably a little bit of aero wash there out of turn 4. So he's going to, again, now try to set himself up to where he needs to make this move. Enters higher. Is he going to do that big over-under? Yeah, he is. So he gets himself a lot of clean air on entry, clean air on exit, and a really good exit there out of 2. As man, I'm looking out back, though, too, and it is a dogfight still with these guys. As Cohen's going to get around Yingling.
Oh, slide dropped him a little bit.
For 1. Oh, big slide. He catches it. Gary's going to get a 2 for 1 there.
Yes, I saw the exact same thing you did. Looks like I think Nicholas Cohen is definitely kind of sliding the tires a little more than he needs to. It just needs to be more of a patient sort of thing. Okay, I know I have the fresh tires. Don't need to go too crazy here, but it looks like Gary has a better run. So Gary's got the spot for now, but I still think that eventually that these new tire guys will start to catch little by little the cars ahead who had not pitted.
Yeah, Stover has gotten around Coker. And as Dooney mentioned, Laverne is also on the same strategy. So now he is on that second car on the fresh tires along with Cohen. Yingling's on the alternate strategy. Campbell and Hobson are also on that pit strategy. So again, lap time wise, last time 2/10 quicker for Stover over Santos. Dooney mentioned that Galaz was able to stay ahead of Wagner. So Hugo's still holding on into that runner-up spot as we speak. Craig Forsyth sitting in 4th, Peterson right behind him, and then comes Stouffer. So Stouffer, we'll see if there's any team play, strategy, anything like that with he and Craig, but Peterson's going to be in his own race. So I will be curious to see how hard does Craig potentially fight Stouffer if first, of course, Stouffer's got to get by Peterson here.
Stouffer's definitely making up a lot of ground here, more than we probably even would have thought, especially with the pit stop there. But yeah, as it looks like Stouffer is caught up to the back of the small pack here, and as long as he's smart and places his tires the correct way and doesn't overheat them too much, I think Stouffer's still looking pretty to get up to that top 3.
You see Peterson starting to put some pressure on Forsyth right in front of him. So that's actually the opposite of what he wants, because he's going to now have 2 lanes of dirty air, but that's what he wants to see right there. Peterson tried to make a move, lost the momentum. That's going to open the door here for Stouffer out of 4 into 1.
Watching this battle further back here for 12th place. Look at Shane Coker and AJ Hobson are going side by side through all of 3 and 4, and it continues into turn 1 and 2. Coker got a little higher up into closer to the wall than we probably would have thought, but this battle really is brewing here with these 5 cars that are back here.
Stouffer was trying to clear there, wasn't quite clear enough. I think Peterson maybe brushed the wall, maybe just had to roll out of it there out of 4. And that allowed him enough momentum to clear. So now he's going to try to get by his teammate here, see if he sends a shot into 3. And that's exactly what he's going to do. But we'll see, can he clear Craig? And there's your answer. If there's any team owners, nope. Craig's going to be doing his chance to get his best result too. Because, again, he knows that, hey, I want to try to be in this fight. It's a year-long championship. I don't have to roll over for you for my own points. I don't think Craig was probably too happy about that one, though, as Stouffer just about cleared him. Now he will, though, entering 3. And then trying to tag along there. I'm watching Gary. He's creeped up right into this battle here as he's going to try to get underneath Peterson here, entering 1.
Ryan Kelly had a big slide out of turn 4 last lap. He just caught it. That stacked up this whole group right behind Ryan. Shane Coker is there, and Larry Yingling and Wayne Campbell are all actually that's AJ Hobson's there, but yeah, Ryan Kelly had a major slide coming out of turn 4 last time that lost him a little bit of time to that group up ahead, but he caught it. He's good to go, and it continues on.
Yeah, so I'm looking at lap times. I think this next time by will be Stouffer's first lap of fresh, or clean air, I should say. Edson ran an 83, Hugo 93, Matt 79, Stouffer 76. I want to see what this lap is, though, for all of these guys. And it's going to be Edson with a 94, Stouffer a 68. So, again, just under 0.3 of a second. So, again, he's getting there slowly but surely. But like I said, he's got to try to get these last couple of guys. As Edson's got about a full straightaway to the next car in for traffic, and that'd be the 44 at the moment here of Franklin Jr. But we're gonna next time by here, Andrew, we're gonna be down to 20 to go.
At this point, the tires probably have equalized a little bit in terms of fighting dirty air, so it'll be very difficult for Stouffer to make these big moves against these guys up ahead of him, trying to get to Edson, but I still think there's time.
Hold on to this here. Take a look at this one here. There's that turn 2 once again striking. You talked about the 85 sliding it a bit, I mean, look at the full opposite lock on the wheel to the right, and is able to then get it centered just in time. Oh, actually a little bit of contact to the left side there. So possibly, we'll see if he has to take a pit stop or if he's going to try to limp it along. But sorry to jump on you there. But yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at the field though now as Laverne and Peterson still fighting. We've got the top 7 within just a couple seconds of one another.
I'm watching Nick Cohen as he crosses the line here. Let's see if his lap time is still kind of back to normal. Yeah, looks like he's doing pretty. His speeds look pretty good, so I think it might just been like a pancake against the wall. Perhaps a little bit lost in speed, but nothing too crucial that'll hurt his speed too much.
I think he was the quickest car in track last time by. He ran 73.
Yeah, he lost a lot of time there with that spin. So everything he was fighting for has just kind of been lost in terms of track position, but the car seems to be okay.
So yeah, be right though. Tires I think are starting to equalize though, because you can see Stouffer, he's kind of settled in here, and lap time wise it's sitting at about maybe a tenth or so here and there. He was 0.2 quicker than Matt Wagner last time, but actually about 300 slower than Edson. So again, we don't know for sure still. Again, this might be Edson running what he's doing just in hopes of another yellow to make it to the end. We don't know for sure. We don't know what kind of fuel numbers these guys are getting as things go on. So it's possible towards the very, very end of this race that they might have to go to ultra fuel save and just try to make it to the end. So that's why we're here. That's why the strategies are unfolding the way they are. So this is a really good battle here, though, is with Gary Laverne, Eric Peterson there, Craig Forsyth. These guys going at it here. Again, Gary's on the better fuel strategy for these guys, able to push a little harder, but at the moment has not been able to find a way around that 99, try to get that top 5.
We got 15 laps to go in this race, and let's keep in mind the point standings here as well. We have 4 of the top 5 drivers right now are 4 of the top 5 in points. So these guys are really going to be trying their best to gain any bit on Craig Forsyth they can. So they're hoping that Gary Laverne makes his move on Craig, which looks like he actually is doing right now. Gary's on the inside of Craig going into turn 3, and this is very good for the points for these guys that are racing up ahead of Forsyth. And it looks very orderly right now, but there is a points battle going on here right now, and Forsyth has made the best of his race, running outside the top 12 for much of the time, but he's managed to sneak his way into the top 5 as Craig does. So I don't know if he has enough to take it to the 4 cars up ahead of him, but I'm sure that these guys up ahead of him are happy that they can finally gain a little bit more ground on the points on him.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And it's a tough one right now. If a good points night for them over Craig is potentially a top 5 or 6 for him at the moment. But I got to jump over because we've got a very popular driver on the IndyCar side of things. That is Kyle Klendworth. He's rooting on his man Shane Coker in that 32, sitting in the 12th position. Shane's on the fuel save strategy, so he's again kind of in that tougher spot to be in, but managing it pretty well here. And again, he's got Larry Yingling on the same strategy right in front of him. And then Craig, I'm still watching that battle. I'm watching the intervals too, as he just cannot shake Laverne here in that number 34 car. But I'm watching up front, though. Hugo's creeping in on this one here, Andrew. We're getting down to it. 10 to go here at the line. And I think Stouffer, like I said, I think he's used up what he had tire-wise. Now it might have to come down to the fuel potential. And maybe Hugo's done a better job fuel saving early, trying to put the pressure now on Edson late.
I don't think for Stouffer to pit for tires there. I think he did what he could to say, okay, well, if I just stay up here with my worn tires, I might get outrun by Edson. So let me try something a little different. And I don't think it's over yet for Stouffer. I think he just needs to find a little bit of clean air to maybe make these moves. But it gets more and more tricky as you get closer to a group of cars that are ahead of you. So it may be done for Stouffer to get the win tonight, but you're right. Hugo is definitely right there. And he seems to be kind of running offset to what Edson's running. And he's running close enough where he possibly could make a move towards the end of this one here.
Yeah, and again, though, the one thing to mention is, again, this isn't like NASCAR. There are no green-white checkers over here, so lap 150 is the final lap of the race, so we've got 8 to go, 7 at the line. So, again, if he's got anything in the tank, figuratively and literally on the fuel side of things, he's going to have to use it now because, again, you just don't know. And the problem, too, is if he has any bobble, you can see Matt Wagner. He's right there ready to capitalize. So, This is going to be interesting. Like I said, for me, I feel like Edson, we know he's good on fuel. We've seen him run really long. In this race, he saved a lot of fuel behind Stouffer on the first course of those couple laps. But now this is when he's been leading this entire time. So has this been maybe putting him in a tough spot to make it to the end? But I don't know. I feel like with 6 to go, if he's doing what he's doing, I feel like he's probably in a good spot. But what's going to potentially throw that wrench into things, they're about a half a straightaway away from three cars a lap down here that could affect their aero here in that traffic.
Well, at this point, if I was Edson and I was leading and I knew my tires were starting to go off, I'd just back my pace down a little bit. Hugo would really need a huge run to try and get by, so you could try and tamper that as best you can. But I still think that Edson's far enough away from the traffic where it won't be too big of a deal. He just needs to figure out what his line is and execute that as best he can, and that will keep Hugo from getting that run. But Hugo could be trying something else a little bit in his back pocket and say, hey, like, once you start to back down, I know where I can have the advantage to get you back. So it's always a cat and mouse game. You feel like you have the lead going and everything like that, and next thing you know, you take a wrong line and suddenly the car is right behind you and you have to play a super defense. So we're getting down to the end of it here on these very, very old tires. I think as long as Edson just kind of keeps his line going and is a little bit unpredictable with where he's going, I think he's got this.
Yeah, like I said, he's just going to be watching that fuel number this whole time here. So we got 3 to go, be 2 at the line. So again, though, if we get to the white flag at that point, it would be an official race. You saw there Hugo running way up top, trying to get that exit there. I think had a little bobble. That's brought Matt closer in. Again, if Hugo bobbles, Matt's going to try to grab that spot as well. Stouffer, I think he's fallen off. Again, you can see he's down a couple extra tenths now. Not enough at the reaches of Craig, but not what he was hoping for as well. Also got to give a shout out to Ryan Kelly. He's worked his way up into that fight right behind Gary Laverne, Craig Forsyth. But here we go, though, Andrew. White flag is out. Does that 20 have enough to make it across the line? He's got to make sure he gets all the way across the line. Can't sputter coming out of 4 because that could be a game changer for him. But right now, looks like he is holding steady in that number 20 car and is going to work the fuel mileage here potentially to perfection. But, oh, man, for a second there, it looked like Hugo gained a ton out of 4. It is going to be Edson Santos getting the win tonight at Milwaukee over Hugo Galaz, Matt Wagner there, and then Christopher, Craig Forsyth will round out our top 5. So Craig breaks the streak with the 7th last week. He's going to restart that streak again here tonight potentially.
I was actually watching that last lap with Gary Lovern and Craig Forsyth. Gary stayed very, very close, but he didn't quite get there close enough. He had to deal with the battle of Stouffer falling back as well. So pretty crazy run there. It looks like actually Edson has run out of fuel entering turn 4. He's sitting by himself there. So it looks like Edson had done that to perfection.
Yeah, and I was curious to see is he going to just kind of rub it in their faces and have some time for a burnout too. So we're going to watch just to be sure. He might just park it on the start-finish line potentially. But I was really curious to see, but I think he's just going to show off that beautiful leaner energy paint scheme as, yeah, I think he definitely ran that thing out of fuel completely. So a great job by Edson. And, I mean, again, I think also just a great recovery drive as well. I wouldn't say recovery drive, but just drive to get back to the front there as well for Christopher in that 13. Again, not the result I'm sure he was hoping for, but still, I mean, it's also probably pretty fun to drive through the fields as much as he did until he starts to hit that part at the end, though. So we'll chat with those top 3. It'll be Edson Santos over Hugo Galaz by about half a second. Matt Wagner, last week's winner, going to follow up with another podium here tonight in 3rd. Christopher, the first that pitted there on that last yellow. 4th, Craig Forsyth, top 5. Then Gary Laverne, Ryan Kelly, Eric Peterson, Wayne Campbell, Larry Yingling are top 10. Shane Coker and Devin Brock there, 11th, 12th. Nicholas Stockner, Charles Teed, and Joseph Morales are lead lap finishers there through 15th position. Then A.J. Hobson, 16th. Bill Burrell, 17th. Frank Irwin Jr. in 18th. And unfortunately, I think we had some early retirements tonight. Well, actually, I should say Schaus in 19th. And then the early retirements there being Nick Cohan. We saw John Borst in that incident. That was it for him tonight. And then Jeff Heisong and Daniel Durazo, we saw those early retirements as well. All right, so we're going to hunt down some fellas And we're going to start with some Matt Wagner guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him here. Let's try to find that guy. He's always hiding somewhere. He always changes channels. There he is. All right, Andrew, we're going to pull in last week's winner, tonight's third place finisher in that number 6 of Matt Wagner. Gained 6 spots in the race. The question at the end, Matt, do you want to take fuel? Do you not want to take fuel? How did you kind of manage the decision there at the end to stay out or to come in?
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Sorry about that. I pressed the wrong button. So, yeah, I kind of knew I was good on fuel. So we could do, on my current pace, I could run about 54 laps. I know if I threw the map down, I can probably do about maybe 57, 58. So that when that caution came out, it helped tremendously. So I knew I can make it, just a little bit of fuel save, and I can make it to the end. And by the time when the laps wind down, your tires are just completely worn down, very hard to pass. The dirty air is really gonna hurt you. And just hold on for third. That's all I can do.
Yeah, Matt, it did seem like I was watching a lot of drivers kind of running that middle line through both sides of the track. And we were talking a little bit about the weather, the wind, and everything like that. Was there one side of the track that you could really attack more than the other, or was it just a matter of clean air only? Did you find that just keeping it tight the whole time? Let's talk about both sides of the track and what sort of strategy you employed there.
So I like to run the high line up in turns 1 and just arc it down way toward that yellow strip and down toward turn number 2. And at turns 3 and 4, oh, that's easy. Run the bottom. Nobody could keep the car on the bottom of the racetrack, and I felt like I was one of the best cars to run on the bottom. One of them, but not the best. But it was at times I can feel the wind, but I could see the guys a lot of overdriving 3 and 4, and I was just taking advantage of it. Watching some of those guys wash up out of 3 and 4, but that 1 and 2, if I run the higher line, I feel like I would net gain them coming down the back, but I just really can't take advantage of that clean air up the top of the racetrack. Maybe I'm just not driving it hard enough, or maybe just being too conservative on my tires. And yeah, it was quite difficult. It really was with that wind.
Wow, it still worked out pretty well for you, Matt. I was saying, I'm guessing also probably wasn't the qualifying run you're hoping for tonight, starting in 9th, but then also you were pretty much one of the first drivers to hit pit road on the first green flag run. Was that just to do something different to try to get some clean air, or just go off strategy, maybe try to do the undercut? Or
oh boy, would you like to hear a story? You probably wouldn't. No one would believe me. As you know, I have a new kid. So she decided to yank on my right arm, and I tapped the wall trying to arc it into 1 using the high line, and I ended up scraping her wall and got a little bit of damage. So I really can't blame the kitten, but I had to go in early because I was losing so much time, and I had to go in and take that fast repair. That's the reason why I pitted so early.
so it's the animal assisted pit strategy. Allowed. I know.
Do what?
The problem
See, no one would believe me. No,
the problem
nobody would.
Oh no, I believe you. I've had crazy things happen with mine, but the problem is though, Andrew, is they're little and cute, so they get away with everything.
I was gonna say, everyone likes. Oh, I scraped the wall. Oh, it was the cat's fault. The cat walked
dog
across
ate my homework.
Yes, exactly.
This one's 11 weeks old, so.
Nah, but no, Matt. Like I said, it was a really, really good run for you. Like I said, a win last week, a podium this week. I mean, are you kind of happy with the way things are going right now?
Yeah, things are. We start off really start off in the second place at Homestead, then things started taking a turn. All the bad luck, it's just I hate bad luck. It's just you got to turn things around. And the last 2 weeks, feel like a big turnaround. And uh, all the positivity going on, and our little car trip coming here in about a week. I'm just life is good.
Well, that is what we want to hear, Matt. It's always good to have a good time. Like I said, a great couple of results for you. And I say right now, showing you in the top 5 in points after one drop week. Obviously, don't have the second accounted for as of yet. But again, great result tonight, sir. And as always, definitely got to give you the floor. Any thanks and shout outs for that podium this evening.
All right. I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys did a fantastic job. Andrew, I know you heard me on Saturday, but I get to hear you on Tuesday. I'd like to thank
Correct.
Track Rocket Racing. Those guys, Daniel, too bad he got caught speeding on pit road. It's unfortunate for him. And all my buddies at Horizon. We'll see you tomorrow night over at Wednesday. So shout out to Gary. I can't wait to meet you next week. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a great time at the expo. For all those going to the Sim Racing Expo, I'm looking forward to meeting you. You can find me in the P1 booth. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. So take care. Have a good night.
All right, great job again, Matt, and look forward to seeing you on track again soon, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, so we're going to jump one spot forward. And Andrew, this guy, he's been on a roll lately in that number 57 machine. That is going to be Hugo Galaz, because last week a second place, tonight another second place, and I say that's the third podium of the season. So Hugo, it's been going well for you these last couple of races. And it's in very different tracks. You obviously Auto Club, that's pretty much super speedway race. Then you come here to a very flat oval track, and we know you're good at saving fuel. Did you have any to spare at the end, or was it just you had to save all of it at the end and not have a chance to really try anything on Edson?
Hey guys, hey Andrew. I'm here again. I can't believe it. No, in the last stint, I was saving fuel. Maybe 35 laps. After that, I put the map 6, and the last 5 laps, I put the map 1. But Edson did a great job. Congrats, Edson. But I think I'm not good in Milwaukee, but I think I did a smart race today.
Yeah, Hugo. Actually, my question for you was you kind of answered like one half of it, saying like I was wondering if a short track was more of your style of racing. I feel like you were always pretty handy at the short track racing situation, but really what I was talking about at the start of the broadcast was qualifying on the short tracks really does mean everything. You get a good qualifying, you start out front, and it's very hard for people to make up a lot of spots compared to a lot of the tracks we go to. So
Yeah.
with your really good qualifying spot, did you feel like you were going to have a good race as long as you kept a very sensible, easy strategy?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks to Change for the quality, because he saved me the set for the quali. And yeah, I'm not good in these tracks, Milwaukee, Iowa, for example.
Short track.
But yeah, short tracks. But last races in these places, for me, I have been with great results. In Horizon, for example, last season, I did a top 5 here in Milwaukee. But the quality is really important, and the track position. For this reason, I no pit for me in the last yellow. I prefer saving fuel in that moment.
And actually, and you mentioned that's a good question. Was if that yellow doesn't come out there, do you save it still to the end, or you think you have to take a splash?
No. I need save 1.5 lap. Only that because
Okay, a
for
lap and a
this
half.
reason
Would you still had to save? Okay.
yeah.
That's, I mean, again, we saw you in a lap longer than everybody at Watkins Glen. So if somebody could, it was probably you.
Yeah, but I learning about the saving fuel. In Watkins Glen, I made a mistake because I saving a lot of fuel. Really conservative in that race. But in this race, I think I was more smart. I don't know if I say good, but
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, that's I was saying, and I'm again. There was a couple strategies tonight. Was it to pit like we saw Chris pit with Stouffer, or stay out like you and Edson and Matt did with a few others behind Craig? So it was a very mixed strategy, but I said you guys did it perfectly to grab those top 3 spots. So a really good job. Like I said, second runner up spot here in 2 races. And I've kept telling you, I just think it's a matter of time before that one break comes your way. Like if Edson didn't save enough, that's you at the top step. So keep doing what you're doing. I said I think there's definitely a win coming soon for you over here. But before we let you go, Edson, as always, definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight?
Well, thank you guys for your job, Andrew, Gail. Great for my team, Alternative Sport. Thank you, and Gary and Shane in the Discord for this race. And greeting for my wife, my son, my mom is here in my house in this moment. And that's all. Congrats, Edson, again, Matt, for the podium, and see you in the next race, guys.
Congrats again
you,
Hugo, and go enjoy the family.
Thank you. Bye.
Night. All right, that is our runner-up. So that means we got one fellow left to chat with here tonight, Andrew, and that is going to be our race winner, Edson Santos. And remember, I was mentioning those runner-up finishes, and so qualifying second place. Qualified second at Homestead, won the race. Qualified second at Texas, got 7th. Second at Pocono, wins the race. Second at Auto Club, finishes 5th. Second time at Milwaukee, wins the race. So he's got 3 second place starts that turned into wins. Edson, if you qualify second, is that a good sign that you're going to finish well in these races?
Hello guys, hello everyone. So I didn't know about this this number. I think it's just a coincidence. I didn't know, but I every time try to start the race in front and first or second row in order to have some good conditions for the race. But this coincidence it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I saw that for when you were battling with Chris at the start of the race there, it seemed you didn't really give it a lot of effort to try and get to the lead. So was there a lot of tire saving going on? Were you trying to maybe do an undercut, overcut? What was your strategy to see? I know Chris pitted in the last caution, which gave you the lead, but did you have anything up your sleeve for a strategy where you might be able to take the fight for the lead on track under green flag conditions?
Actually, Andrew, in the first 25 laps, I was trying to overtake him. I know it would be hard. I was trying different numbers in my bars and weight jacker, and so I was in 6-1, 6 in front, one here, and weight jacker in 9, 10. And after 25 laps, my car started to present a little bit of oversteering. My tires were starting to get bad, and I was thinking, so it's better to use map 3 or map 4 in order to alongside my postpone my pit, because when in this track, it's one of the tracks, when you get the pit, the return is terrible. You usually make laps in 2/10, 3/10 higher than the
Yes. Yeah, fresh
uh,
tires.
yeah, exactly. And so I was thinking in to use this strategy like a overcut, right? To stay 4 or 5 laps more than Chris. And the first opportunity, it almost worked, because I returned in front, but it was side by side, and with cold tires, it was not good. And it is exactly what I was trying to make in the second stint, because in the first one I pitted like 4 or 5 laps after, and in the second stop would be the final one. Probably I would stop at 8 or 9 laps um, after, and it could be good for me. But the yellow flag, of course, spoiled this strategy. Right?
Yeah, so it's interesting seeing how different the strategies there were potentially, Andrew, without that yellow kind of in the midway through there. So, but yeah, again, Edson, and the fuel map is actually a really an interesting thing. So I did talk to one of the drivers, and he had mentioned that he was thinking about running a higher fuel maps, like you said, a 3 or a 4, to help the wheel spin on exit after your tires were kind of getting loose. So it's interesting that sometimes actually maybe less fuel is almost better for the car at a track like this to keep the traction. So yeah, you did a really good job. We noticed how much further you went on fuel than Chris on that first run. And then of course, once then we saw you stay out, saw Chris pit, we were thinking, okay, can he make this happen? And you ran the numbers perfectly to make it to the end on fuel and get the win tonight. So I said, I think that is win number 4. Nope, win number 3 in the season. So I'll say it's a good result. So say you won 2 of the first 3. It's been a little bit of a gap, so to get one again, I'll say is this one of those ones like, okay, I got to win again. I'm feeling better going into the kind of the last half of the season.
Yeah, man. Actually, I need to confess what a pain controlling fuel consumption this last stint. I know it could be possible, but I absolutely didn't want to allow Gallus to save in the end, attack me or taking my P1, and in that point, I was using map 3, map 4, alternating between them, constantly checking my fuel overlay. I had to follow the economy number for nearly 1/10 of a liter per lap. Sometimes using map 2 to open a gap of 5-6 tenths, and then I went back to map 3, map 4. Well, just only in the last 4 laps I could accelerate on 100%, but there the tire was over, and there were some lapped cars in front, so I just drove in the end with the greatest care to get the victory and recover, because as you mentioned, I had a very good start in this season, but then several incidents, bad strategies. Well, today I think the game turned, and although Chris dominated, congrats to him, dominated almost the entire race. I just imagined that the last yellow flag, he would come into the pit, I wouldn't go, and it was the decision for the victory. I'm not a good driver in short track, but the yellow flag smiled to me this last one.
Yes, I mean sometimes you need some luck to let the strategy work out to perfection, and I say, and that's what it takes sometimes. Is you can do everything perfectly, and if the luck doesn't work, then that might take those wins away. So, again, yeah, and definitely don't sell yourself short. You were up there, you were challenging him from the get go there with Chris. So a great result for you tonight. Before we let you go and enjoy the win, though, as always, got to give you the floor. Any thanks and shout outs for the win this evening.
Yeah, thank you for the words, first of all, and to take the advantage, the moment to congrats Craig for the organization, for the league, everyone who is involved. To mention, of course, Hugo Gallus and Matt Wagner for the podium. And so to send a warm hug for all my teammates here in Brazil from Linear Energy. And yeah, that's it. I hope to be here in the last races.
Yep, definitely look forward to seeing you here all the way through. Hopefully going for that championship as well. So go enjoy this one, though, Edson, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
All right, Andrew, that is our race winner, Edson Santos. And so I think it's kind of interesting that I kind of got two different impressions there from talking to Hugo and to Edson. It sounds like to me that caution saved Edson making it to the end. And for Hugo, he was thinking, I'm staying out no matter what there to the end, even if we didn't get that yellow. So I don't know if you got the same impression I did there. So very interesting, though, that one yellow maybe changed the kind of how the finishing order could have been.
It's definitely interesting talking to these guys after the race and asking the right questions, too, to talk about how their strategy played out. And I think like you said, we learned a lot, something we may not have picked up on just by watching on the video feed here. What's happening in the car is always a little bit different than what we see watching from 30,000 feet above the racetrack. So it's always good to talk to these guys and get a good gist of actually the stress that they have going on in the car during the race. So it was good.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And so we will be off next week for that Labor Day weekend. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And it might be a travel time thing as well, Andrew, because it's going to be over at Twin Ring Motegi on September 16th. And then we're going to come over to an interesting oval that I don't know if they've run before over with these guys, but it's going to be Charlotte Motor Speedway. So 1.5 mile oval, but to me feels very narrow compared to like a Texas or Las Vegas. So that'll be a fun one to see how those next two races go. But yeah, again, pleasure having you back in the booth. It's always fun doing these with you, man. And yeah, I'll say we're going to have a good little battle for the championship on our hands here. It's like from what at the moment with the one drop week, Craig is now 20 points over Edson, closing that gap. Stouffer 51 out, Wagner 61 out. So right now those top four have kind of snuck away a little bit in the points. But again, there's still one more drop to kick in. It'll be two drops out of I think the 14 races. So yeah, it'll be fun to see how that all starts to kind of dwindle down as we get to those final couple races.
Yeah, actually, we're 3 weeks until the next race. So it's like mega travel time. So it's not even 2 weeks from now. We got a little bit of a break here.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, this is our quote-unquote summer break. I misread the map. And so the reason for that I need to add is because we're approaching iRacing's week 13, which is where a lot of things change. And that was where last season we pushed a season back because they completely changed the IndyCar with the hybrid system and all that. And so I believe there's also a big change, if I'm not mistaken, coming up this go around. So we always just try to let the bugs get adjusted and kind of tweaked out of things, and hopefully all P's and Q's or T's and I's dotted across. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that
Close
one
enough.
I did get a little bit of insight from John Borst, who unfortunately had a tough night tonight. He was like, "Hey, that's a build week." I'm like, that's a good point. So, because usually build weeks are on Tuesdays. So, I appreciate you, John,
exactly.
for catching that one for me on some of these.
Yeah, so we'll have a little bit of a break here, but I mean that just really kind of sets the stage for the end of the season here as well, right? So we have a little bit of a breakaway at the top of the championship, but tonight it kind of closed up a little bit with Craig not having the night that he has been having all season long. So I think it'll give these guys a chance to reset, re-strategize, figure out how the new car works and everything like that. So when we move on, we'll have a nice setup for the end of the season here.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and yeah, it's fun when a not the best night for Craig is a top 5 gaining 11 spots. So I'd say it tells you again, to me, the season Craig's had. I mean, he's still got half of the season to go. He's gonna have to stay strong because they're gonna keep him honest. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun battle. I think it's gonna come down to that last race at Indy. So, but we still got lots racing to go before then. But yeah, so
Excited to see it.
Oh, I know. It's going to be so much fun. But yeah, so Andrew, again, love having you back here. I hate that I have you and then I lose you for a couple of weeks, but we'll be back coming strong, though, at Motegi on September 16th. But until then, as always, though, for everybody watching, we'll have a few nights off again for that Labor Day weekend. So hope you all have a safe and hopefully restful Labor Day. And we'll be back again in about a week's time over on the Friday night race. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and have a good night.